Phobia is an anxiety disorder which is defined by an irrational, unrealistic, persistent, and excessive fear of an object or situation. Here is a list of phobia. First is apeirophobia, fear of darkness. Scotophobia, fear of dark. Lygophobia, fear of darkness. Nyctophobia, fear of night or darkness. Sciophobia, fear of shadows. Negrophobia, fear of darks. Necrophobia, fear of corpses. And thanatophobia, fear of death. Phengophobia, fear of daylight. Heliophobia, fear of sunlight. Photophobia, fear of light. Siderophobia, fear of stars. Astrapophobia, fear of lightning. Charanophobia, fear of thunder. Brontophobia, fear of thunder and lightning. Tonitrophobia, fear of thunder. Agoraphobia, fear of open spaces. Claustrophobia, fear of closed spaces. Xenophobia, fear of empty spaces. Trypophobia, fear of certain places. Anginophobia, fear of narrowness. Cremnophobia, fear of steep cliffs. Autophobia or ermitophobia, fear of loneliness. Eromophobia, fear of solitude. Monophobia, fear of being alone. Acrophobia, fear of heights. Batophobia, fear of heights or being close to tall buildings. Hypsophobia, fear of high places. Acousticophobia, fear of sound. Lygyrophobia, fear of loud noises. Anemophobia, fear of wind. Enterophobia, fear of flood. Nephophobia, fear of clouds. Homiclophobia, fear of fog. Cymophobia, fear of waves. Batrachophobia, fear of frogs and toads. Ailurophobia, fear of cats. Cynophobia, fear of dogs. Basilophobia or microbiophobia, fear of microbes. Ophidiophobia or herpetophobia, fear of snakes. Zoophobia, fear of animals. Pathophobia, fear of disease. Nosophobia, fear of illness. Algophobia, fear of pain. Ichnophobia, fear of needles or pointed objects. Hydrophobophobia, fear of rabies. Febriphobia, fear of fever. Coprostasophobia, fear of constipation. Emetophobia, fear of vomiting. Trypanophobia, fear of vaccination. Thesiophobia, fear of tuberculosis. Traumatophobia, fear of injury. Iatrophobia, fear of going to the doctor. Tocophobia, fear of pregnancy or childbirth. Teratophobia, fear of giving birth to the monster. Omatophobia, fear of eyes. Onirophobia, fear of dreams. Hypnophobia, fear of sleep. Pedophobia, fear of children or dolls. Chronophobia, fear of color. Bibliophobia, fear of books. Ecophobia, fear of home. Uranophobia, fear of heaven. Stygiophobia or hedophobia, fear of hell. Anthrophobia, fear of humans. Theophobia, fear of God. Iconophobia, fear of religious works of art. Anglophobia, fear of English people and things. Asthenophobia, fear of weakness. Atelophobia, fear of imperfection. Atophobia, fear of ruin. Chechoraphiaphobia, fear of failure. Logophobia, fear of words. Metrophobia, fear of poetry. Phronimophobia, fear of thinking. Copophobia, fear of fatigue. Glossophobia, fear of speech. Graphophobia, fear of writing. Hypegeiaphobia, fear of responsibility. Neophobia, fear of novelty. Umbrophobia, fear of rain. Thalassophobia, fear of sea. Hydrophobia or aquaphobia, fear of water. Potophobia, fear of drinks. Anthophobia, fear of flowers. Osmophobia or olfactophobia, fear of smell. Cryophobia, fear of ice. Kyanophobia, fear of snow. Chymophobia or psychrophobia, fear of cold. Limnophobia, fear of lakes. Potamophobia, fear of rivers. Eleutherophobia, fear of freedom. Ergophobia, fear of work. Pharmacophobia, fear of drugs. Hemophobia, fear of blood. Phasmophobia, fear of ghosts. Taphophobia, fear of being buried alive. Hegiophobia, fear of saints. Hierophobia, fear of priests. Hematophobia, fear of sin. Ecclesiophobia, fear of church. Isotrophobia, fear of mirrors. Onomatophobia, fear of hearing a certain word. Optophobia, fear of opening one's eyes. Mastigophobia, fear of beating. Kleptophobia, fear of stealing. Herpetophobia, fear of robbers. Gumatophobia, fear of taste. Cystophobia or phagophobia, fear of food or eating. Aerophobia, fear of sourness. Enophobia, fear or hatred of wine. Pyrophobia, fear of fire. Thermophobia, fear of heat. Misophobia, fear of contamination or dirt. Heptophobia, fear of touch. Hedonophobia, fear of pleasure. Euphobia, fear of good news. And demophobia or oculophobia, fear of crowd. Agliophobia or dromophobia, fear of crossing busy streets. Clinophobia, fear of staying in bed. Nidophobia, fear of insect stings. Gerascophobia, fear of growing old. Hodophobia, fear of travel. Siderodromophobia, fear of rail travel. Ocophobia, fear of vehicles. Acrophobia, fear of speed. Spacophobia, fear of standing. Cyberphobia, fear of computers. Xenophobia, fear of flesh. Peniophobia, fear of poverty. Poinophobia, fear of punishment. Dorophobia, fear of fur. Pteronophobia, fear of being tickled by feathers. Petroiophobia, fear of heredity. Gamophobia, fear of marriage. Gephyrophobia, fear of bridges. Xenophobia, fear of foreigners. Xylophobia, fear of jealousy. Nilophobia, fear of glass. Chromatophobia, fear of money. Aurophobia or chrysophobia, fear of gold. Bathophobia, fear of depths. Toxicophobia or toxiphobia, fear of poison or poisoning or being poisoned. Phobophobia, fear of fear. And pantophobia, fear of everything. Thank you.